Hello and welcome to Global Math Mentor. In this video, I'm going to solve one of the toughest modules in the digital SAT Math Module 2 from Practice Test 6. If you're aiming for a top score, this is the kind of challenge you need to master. Let's dive in and tackle these questions step by step with tips, strategies, and some Desmos tricks along the way. Question 1, the function f is defined by f of x equals 8x. For what value of x does fx equal 72? So the function's value is 72, put it equal to 8x, 8 times 9 is 72, so 9 will be the correct answer. Question 2, the figure you see is not drawn to scale. In the figure, two lines intersect at a point. Angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles, so they're opposite to each other. The measure of angle 1 is 72. What is the measure of angle 2? So we know that these two angles are same, so A is the correct answer. Question 3. On a street with 7 houses, 2 houses are blue. If a house from this street is selected at random, what is the probability of selecting a house that is blue? So 2 out of 7 will be the correct answer. Question 4. The graph of function f is shown where y equals f of x. So we can see it's a linear graph. Which of the following describes function f? So we know the gradient is positive and the y-intercept is 0. So this has a positive gradient, so it's an increasing linear function. So A is the correct answer. Can't be decreasing and exponential, definitely out of the box. Question 5. The graph of the function f is shown where y equals f of x. What is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis, so 0, -4 will be the correct answer. Question 6. The solution to the given system of equations is xy. What is the value of y? We have a linear system. You can either substitute x8 and solve for y. I'm going to be using the graphing calculator for this one. So let's go. I can put x equals 8, and the next one is x plus 3y equals 26. Let's get the point of intersection. So 8, 6 is the correct answer, but I need the y coordinate, so y is going to be 6. Question 7. The amount of Hannah's bill for a food order was $50. Hannah gave a tip of 20% of the amount of bill. What is the amount in dollars of the tip Hannah gave? So just get 20% of 50. So that's going to be 0.2 of 50. That's going to be $10. Question 8. Which expression is equivalent to this? You can see each of the option in the answers are factorized. So let's see how you can factorize this. So I can factorize the x cube. This will give me 5x squared minus 6x and plus 8. So let's see which one is the correct answer. So B will be the correct answer. Question 9. The ratio of the length of line segment XY to the length of the line segment ZV is 6:1. Okay, so I know that XY ratio is just a fraction, remember, is 6:1. If the length of the line segment XY is 102, so this is 102. What is the length of the line segment ZV? We just need to solve this proportion. So 102 divides 6 will be ZV cross multiplication. This will be 1 and 7. 17 will be the correct answer, A. Question 10. So we can see this linear equation, 7 times 2x minus 3 equals 63. Which equation has the same solution as the given equation? Look at the answer options. They haven't given any solution, but it's just a rearrangement of the given equation. So you can pick the actual equation and divide both sides by 7, and this will give you cancel 9. So 2x minus 3 equals to 9. A looks like the correct answer. Question 11. The function f defined by f of t is 14t plus 9. So this is a linear function, or you can say that equation of a line, mx plus c form. gives the estimated length in inches of a wine plant T months after Tevin purchased it. So, I mean, on the first month, you can get something, on the second month, on the third month. Which of the following is the best interpretation of 9 in the context? So, Tevin will keep the wine plant for 9 months. No. It's always good to like understand you can either sketch it on the Desmos or just sketch it manually just to look like. Understand the gradient is 14, like 14 inches each month, and 9 will be some fixed, or you can say the length when it all started. So the wine plant is expected to grow 9 inches each month. Wrong, 14 inches each month. The wine plant is expected to grow to the maximum length of 9. There is no maximum in lines unless until there is some domain given. So since no domain is given, this is wrong as well. So you can ballpark the wrong options and pick the correct one. But let's see what the option D says. The estimated length of wine plant was 9 inches when Tevin purchased it. So that is correct. Question 12. So we have this expression, which is a cubic equation. It's factorized. You can see that there are 3 factors. What is the positive solution to the given equation? So we know that x plus 2, if you put it equal to 0, one of the solution is going to be -2. The second solution is going to be a +5. And the third solution is going to be a -9. I did this like when you have a factorized form, you put each of the solution equal to 0 and get the value. So there's only one positive solution, 5. So C is the correct answer. Question 13. Brian saves 2/5 of $215 he earns each week from his job. So he earns $215 and he saves 2/5. If Brian continues to save at this rate, how much money in the dollars will Brian have in 9 weeks? So in the first week, just get the amount. So it's going to be, let's see, 2/5 of 215, that's 86. So this is 1 week's saving. So in 9 weeks, let's multiply this thing with 86 times a 9. So I'm getting a 774. That will be your answer. Question 14. A rectangle has an area of 155 square inches. The length of the rectangle, so the length is 4 inches less than 7 times the width of the rectangle. What is the width of the rectangle in inches? Let's make a rough rectangle. Suppose a width, let's say W. So length is 4 less than 7 times the width. So 7 times the width and subtract 4. That is the expression for the length of the rectangle. We have the area. Let's set a quadratic equation, length into width, and put it equal to 155. This will be 7W squared minus 4W minus 155 equals to 0. And remember, don't solve equations like these in the digital SAT. Just go to Desmos and put this equation, 7 with an x, obviously, x squared minus 4x minus 155. And remember that look for the x-intercepts of the graph. So that will be the solution. This is a negative width, not applicable. So look for the positive solution. So x is either 5 or -4.43 something. We're rejecting the negative. So width will be just 5. Remember, x-intercepts, the place where the graph intersects the x-axis, are the solutions to the given equation. Question 15. So we have a set of values 4, 10, 18, 4, 4, 5, 6, 5. What is the median of the data set shown? So we are looking for the median. There are some options. Like without the calculator, you rearrange the values either in ascending or descending order and try to get the middle number. But let me show you a cool hack given in your graphing calculator. Just go to function, statistics, and you can go to median and start putting in the values in any order. 10, and there is 18, and there's a 4, another 4, and a 5, a 6, and a 5, right? So the median is 5. So B will be the correct answer. Question 16. A right circular cylinder has a volume of 432 cubic centimeters. The area of the base of the cylinder is 24 square centimeters. What is the height in centimeters of the cylinder? So we have a cylinder, its volume is given, which is 432. The base area is a circle, which is pi r square, and its value is given 24. And we need to find the height. So we know that the volume is pi r squared h. So 432 is going to be 24 times h. So you just divide 432 with 24. And let's see, what do we get as the answer? 432 divide 24. A is the correct answer. Question 17. Look at this quadratic equation, x squared equals to a negative 841. How many distinct real solutions does the given equation have? So there are some options: A exactly 1, B exactly 2, C infinitely many, D 0. They're saying how many. One way of approaching this is that you just square root both sides, and you will notice that once you substitute a negative value inside a square root, you will get a math error. So there is no solution. So D is the correct answer. The other way of approaching this same problem is that you can rearrange the equation and add 841 to both sides, and the right side will become 0. And try to sketch this quadratic graph in your calculator, and you will see that the graph will be entirely above the x-axis. If the quadratic curve is entirely above the x-axis, it doesn't touch the x-axis, nowhere near the x-axis, it has no solution. So there is no solution. So, or you can say zero solutions. Question 18. Line K is defined by y equals 7x plus 1 over 8. Line J is perpendicular to the line K in the xy plane. What is the slope of line J? So the slope of line K is 7. The slope of line J, let's say, is m. You know that the product of gradients is -1 when lines are perpendicular. So the gradient of line J will be a negative 1 over 7. So B will be the correct answer. Question 19. So the table shows the linear relationship between the number of cars, C. So number of cars, this is C, on a computer train, and the maximum number of passengers and crew, P. So this is P, that the train can carry. Which equation represents the linear relationship between C and P? So we need this linear relationship, and well, you can see that the options are pretty close to each other. I mean, they look a lot like each other. So there's 55 and C and P, and I mean, it's hard to guess it straight away. So treat it as like coordinates and try to establish the linear relationship like the equation of line. What's the change in the y's? Divide the change in the x. So that's going to be your gradient, the slope. So let's get it. So it's going to be 284 minus 174. That's 110. And if you divide it by 2, that's a 55. So we know that the gradient is 55. So I can do my y value is p. So let's just make it in terms of, let's call this y and this x. So it's easy to make the equation y equals to m x and plus C. So 55 comes with C. So these are incorrect, option C and D. It must be one of the A's and B's. So let's put in the point and get the value of the y-intercept C. So 284, 55 times a 5 and plus a C. So 50 times, I can put this in the calculator. So 284 minus a 55 times a 5, which is a positive 9. So C is a positive 9. So the relationship will now look like P equals to 55C plus a 9. Now, I will try to write it as one of the given options. So 55 is here, minus P, and equals to a negative 9. So you see, I just subtracted P on both sides and 9 to bring this 9 to the right-hand side. So A will be the correct answer. Question 20. You can see this radical equation. What is the value of C? So I have a base of 4 on the left-hand side and the power of 8C. And 4 raised to the power 7 has a cube root on it. Remember, cube root is a 1/3 power. There is an index law when a single base has multiple powers, you can multiply the powers. So this will be 7 times the 1/3, which will be 7/3, and 4 raised to power 8c. Now you have same bases on both sides of the equation. So equate the powers and make c the subject, and 7/24 is the value of c. Question 21. There are equations shown. The solution to the given system of equations is xy. What is the value of 6 times x minus 2? For equations like these, instead of just simplifying and substituting into graphing calculators, sometimes you can just use elimination method. I can see that if I add both equations, these two values will cancel each other, since there's a negative 4 times y plus 7 and a positive 4 times y plus 7. So if you add x minus 2 and an x minus 2, you will get 2 times x minus 2 equals to, let's add these together and I'll show you how to. So it's 117 plus a 442. That's a 559. So I need 6 times x minus 2. So I can multiply the both sides with a 3, and 559 times a 3 is going to be a solution. That's 1677. So that's my answer. So try finding those quicker shortcuts. With practice, you'll figure them out yourself. Question 22. In triangle ABC, angle B is right angle. The length of side AB is 10 root 37 and the length of side BC is 24 root 37. What is the side length of the side AC? So make a rough right angle triangle, right angled at B, ABC. This value is a 10 root 37. This is a 24 root 37. Now, the key idea is to understand, since the base and perpendicular have a coefficient of root 37, the hypotenuse will have a coefficient of root 37 as well. It's an application of Pythagoras theorem. This question, just getting the coefficient is the key. So smartly use Pythagoras theorem just on the coefficients and see what do you get. So I'm going to use 10 squared plus 24 squared, and that's 676. Apply square root to 676 and you get 26. So this will be 26 root 37. So B will be the correct answer. Question 23, the function f is defined by the given equation. This is the function. The equation can be rewritten as this thing, where p is a constant. Which of the following is closest to the value of p? So this is all about rearranging the given function to look like this. So write both of them, 1.84 to the power of x over 4. And this is equal because this is the rearrangement of the same function. So first thing I notice is the left-hand side power is a 1/4 of x and the right-hand side is just x. So you need to make them same, like both powers. So use the idea of indices. 1/4 of x can be written as 1/4 times x. This will be 1 plus p over 100 to the power of x. Now the powers are same, so just use the bases. Get 1/4 of this 1.84. So let's use Desmos. So 1.84, and to the power of, I need a 0.25 for the, so it's 1.16467, 1.16467. This is equal to 1 plus p over 100. So this way you can just make p the subject and see which is the closest. Well, I can guess it's 16 cents, but you'll figure it out yourself. So multiply, first subtract 1, which is this thing, and the answer. So I can copy this answer, or let's write 0.1647, 0.16, wait, 47, and time this with 100. That's 16.47. So P's value is 16.47. So I can clearly see that P is closest to option A. Question 24. The function is defined by f of x equals a square root of x plus b, where a and b are constants. In the xy plane, the graph of y equals f of x passes through the point -24, 0, and this is a condition given f of 24. If you substitute x to be 24, it's a negative number. Which of the following must be true? So this is those true false kind of questions. So right now I can't say possibly something about the options. I need to check these conditions, this coordinate and this condition. So if I substitute x to be 24, the function's value will be 0. So this gives me either a 0 or b minus 24 square root equals 0. Square both sides, get rid of square root. So b becomes a 24, a is a 0. Well, definitely a and b do not work because I have no such coordinate given, 0, 24 or 0 minus 24. So they are clearly incorrect. It can be one of C and D. So from this situation, I can see that D seems correct. But let's explore the second option as well. So what does this mean that f of 24 is less than 0? So if you substitute 24, then you have a square root of 24 and b is a 24 as well. So this is less than 0. So this is clearly a positive number, square root of 48. So a is turning out to be a negative number. So a is less than equal to 0 and b is a 24. So definitely a is less than b. D is the correct answer. Question 25. In the xy plane, the circle has center C with coordinates hk. So I've got a circle and its center is hk, and this is the point C. Points A and B lie on the circle. Point A has coordinates h plus 1, so it must be here somewhere. Let's say h plus 1, because it's 1 to the right of h, and k plus the square root 102, so it's above k. It must be here somewhere, A. And angle ACB. So ACB is a right angle. So I know that B can either be here somewhere or there somewhere. It's just a non-scale diagram, remember. So I know that this is a 90 degree. What is the length of AB? So we need to calculate this length. So at first, it looks like that I need I need the distance formula to get this distance AC. And remember, these two distances will be same. Reason that they are radii of the circle. So if you know this formula, x2 minus x1 squared plus a y2 minus y1 square, uh, make sure you learn these length rules, midpoints, gradients, equation of lines. It's all part of the geometry section. So h plus 1 and h, if you find their distance, it's going to be a 1 squared plus k plus square root of 2 minus a k will be a square root 102 square. I'm applying the length formula. So this distance, or I can say the radius, turns out to be 103. So if this is a square root 103, this is a square root 103, then you can again apply Pythagoras theorem, 103 squared plus the square root of 103 squared. The square root cancels the square. So it's going to be a 206, and you square root it to get the distance AB. So square root of 206 will be AB. A is the correct answer. Question 26. The scatter plot shows the relationship between two variables, x and y, for data set E. A line of best fit is shown. The data set F is created by multiplying the y coordinate of each data point from data set E by 3.9. So this is data set E, and if this has a coordinate xy, another data set F whose graph isn't shown, the coordinate will look like x and 3.9 y. That's the key idea of the question. Which of the following could be an equation of a line of best fit for data set F? So we can see some lines of best fit. So what can I do? I can try and observe. Let's say I'm looking at these 12 somewhere. So if this is a 12, let's say 0, 12, if it's the y-intercept for data set E, what will be the y-intercept for the data set F? So I can use my calculator and do 12 times 3.9. Yep, that is a 0 and 46.8. So it can be one of A and B, so C and D are incorrect answers. Now, it comes down to slope. Like slope is going to tell me which one is the correct graph. So if I pick another point, let's say 20 and 42. I'm just using approximate because they are saying which of the following could be an equation. Okay, so it should be like the closer one. So if this is in E, 20 and 42, what will be the point in F? So I can do 42 times the 3.9, 163.8. So I can quickly check the slope. So the slope is going to be the change in these two, 163.8 and 163.8 minus what was the value? 46.8. It's 117 and divide this 117 by 20. So I'm getting a 5.85. Okay. So the gradient is turning out to be 5.85. So A is the correct answer. This could be the equation of line of best fit of dataset F. Well, that's the last question, question 27. So I've got two set of equations. In the given system of equations, R is a constant. If the system has no solution, what is the value of R? So R is the coefficient of Y in the second equation. So by no solution, it means that these lines will not intersect each other. So they will be parallel. So one way of answering these kind of questions is like you can write them in y equals mx plus c form and equate the gradients. But the other way of answering such questions, like in a bigger picture, what if they say the system of equation has one solution, or the system of equation has infinitely many solutions? So this is the right method to answer these questions. Write them as follow this and do make sure you note this down somewhere. 48x and minus 112y. Reason I subtracted 48y and equals to 24. Okay. And the second equation you can write the same way, like 12x, add 12 to both sides, plus ry and equals to 1 over 8. Now remember, that's the key idea. If the ratio of the coefficient of x and the ratio of the coefficient of y, if they are equal, lines will always be parallel. So that's just a symbol I'm using for parallel. If these ratios are not equal, then you will always have one solution. And if all the ratios are equal, I mean, the constant ratios are equal as well, which is not equal in this case. I'm just giving an idea. Like, then you will have infinite solutions in this case, one solution in this case, and zero solution in this case. So you get the idea. You can generalize this idea and apply it elsewhere as well. Okay. So let's try and solve this with cross multiplication, and that will give me the value of R, right? So let's take the calculator, minus 112 times 12. So negative 1344. Divide that by 48, and my answer is a negative 28. And that wraps up question 27, the final and definitely one of the hardest gradient questions of this module. If you've made it this far, You are already ahead of most students preparing for the digital SAT. I've solved the entire math module of practice test 6 in this video, and I'll be posting module 1 very soon, so make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Drop a like if this helped, leave a comment if you got stuck anywhere, and feel free to share this with your SAT friends. Thanks for watching. This is Global Math Mentor, over and out.